All right, let's get right into it. We're not here to talk about the latest, greatest AI model. We're here to talk about something way more important, a critical shift in leadership. It's a shift that's happening right now, and it's going to decide who wins and who gets left behind by 2026. This is the AI leadership imperative.
You know, this quote right here, it really captures a pivotal moment. See, in 2025, AI wasn't some big, loud explosion. It was more like a quiet tide coming in. It crossed a line from being this cool tool for innovation to becoming the very bedrock of how businesses operate. And honestly, a lot of leaders didn't even notice it happen.
So what really happened at this turning point? Well, basically, AI escaped the innovation lab. It quietly went from being an experiment to being a full-blown operational dependency. The whole conversation shifted from, hey, what if we used AI for this, to, okay, how do we manage all the AI we're already using? And the crazy part is, this all happened without a single memo or press release.
And this silent takeover, it happened everywhere. AI started shaping customer strategy, it started setting prices, it started forecasting financials, you had individual teams adopting their own tools, analysts started relying on AI for insights, and before anyone really took a step back to look, it was just woven into the very fabric of the business.
You know, the biggest lesson from 2025 wasn't about the tech. The AI models, they worked just fine. The real roadblocks, the things that were grinding progress to a halt, were organizational. Suddenly, all these really tough questions started bubbling to the surface. Who actually has the authority to make an AI-driven decision? Is our data even good enough for this? Are our teams working together, or are they all off in their own silos? And the biggest question of all, who's on the hook when things go wrong?
And that last question, about accountability, that brings us to the absolute core of the problem. A really dangerous vacuum of responsibility has opened up inside most companies, creating this huge gaping hole in leadership.
I bet you've heard this phrase a million times. Oh, AI is owned by everyone. It sounds great, right? So progressive, so collaborative. But in reality, it is one of the single most dangerous mindsets a company can have when it's trying to actually get real work done with AI.
And this slide, it just lays out the brutal truth. When you say owned by everyone, what you're really saying is accountable to no one. When ownership is split between the CIO, the CTO, the legal team, the product teams, well, no single executive actually has to answer for the results. It's a classic trap.
This accountability gap, it gives birth to something called shadow AI. And believe me, it is happening right now in your organization. Teams are just going out and adopting whatever AI tools they want, with zero central oversight. And this creates massive, massive risks. We're talking sensitive data getting exposed, major compliance breaches, and totally conflicting business decisions all happening completely out of sight of the leadership team. It's a real problem. Which brings us to a really critical point. By 2026, the consequences of this accountability gap are going to become completely impossible to ignore. For companies that don't get their act together, this is going to be the year of the reckoning. For years, leaders thought that being cautious with AI was the smart, safe play. But that entire logic has been flipped completely on its head. Today, doing nothing, inaction, is the single greatest risk your business faces, period.
And the costs of doing nothing? They are steep. The opportunity cost? It compounds faster than any technical risk you can imagine. Your decision-making gets slower and slower. Your strategic options start to disappear. And your best people, your top talent, they're going to leave. They'll go to organizations that treat AI like a core part of the business, not just some science fair project.
And this is a really important thing to understand. Your competitors aren't just buying shinier tools. No, they are building a massive structural advantage right under your nose by embedding AI deep into their operations. This gap, it's not going to be loud and obvious at first. It's going to reveal itself when you realize they are consistently outmaneuvering you and out-executing you, and you can't figure out why.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's not another committee, it's not another 50-page policy document. It is a clear, unambiguous mandate for a new kind of leader, the Chief AI Officer.
Now let's be super clear about what this role is and what it isn't. A CIO is not a superpowered data scientist. It is a strategic business role. Their job is to focus on aligning AI strategy to real business outcomes and making sure everyone across the company is executing on it. So the CIO's mandate, it really boils down to these three things. First, they own the AI strategy and make sure it's actually serving business goals. Second, they're the one person who is accountable for delivering actual business impact, not just running a bunch of cool pilots. And third, They build a governance framework that actually helps the organization move fast, but safely.
But just hiring a CIO isn't a magic wand. They need the right playbook to actually succeed. And that playbook is built on two key pillars: agile governance and an AI-literate executive team.
You see, effective AI governance looks totally different from the old, bureaucratic models we're used to. Instead of these heavy committees and review boards that slow everything down, it uses lightweight guardrails. The goal isn't to block progress, it's to make doing the right thing with AI the easiest and fastest path forward.
But here's a critical warning, and maybe the most important one of all. You cannot just hire a CIO and delegate the whole AI problem away. A CIO's success is 100% dependent on the support and the understanding of the entire leadership team.
Now, the good news is, this doesn't mean you need to learn how to code or understand crazy complex algorithms. Executive AI literacy is about one thing: judgment. It's knowing where AI can give you leverage, understanding where it creates risk, and most importantly, knowing how to ask the right questions of AI-driven recommendations.
Okay, so how do we actually know if all this stuff is working? Well, the key is to look beyond the most obvious and, frankly, often misleading metrics.
Most companies, what do? They default to measuring cost savings. But that's a lagging indicator. It only tells you what already happened. It's like driving a car by only looking in the rearview mirror. The real value is in the leading indicators, the ones that show if AI is fundamentally changing how your organization thinks and acts.
So what are those indicators? Things like this. How much faster are we making our most critical decisions? How quickly are we getting from raw data to a real insight? How much more accurate are our forecasts? How much more confident are we in our planning? These are the metrics that tell you if you're building a real lasting competitive advantage.
And that brings us right back to the ultimate takeaway. The conversation we absolutely need to be having about AI in 2026 isn't about technology anymore. It has fully, 100%, become a conversation about leadership, about accountability, and about strategy.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your team, to your leadership table. Is AI a side project at your company, or is it a core leadership responsibility? Because the companies that win the next decade won't be the ones with the flashiest tech. They'll be the ones who answered this question correctly and answered it early. The decision belongs at the leadership table.